The word historic gets thrown around a lot when it comes to the NBA. You can cherry pick stats to make just about anything a player does fall under the definition of historic if you're willing to do the research. Oftentimes, though, the gravity of what's being considered historic can fall short of how good it actually sounds on paper. That's not the case for Nikola Jokic this season. Historic is the best word to describe what he's accomplished, and in this video I'm going to go over everything that Jokic has done that's worthy of this pretty lofty distinction. Now, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Let's get right into it. Now, I'm sure we all saw this stat trending on Twitter recently, the fact that Jokic is the only player in NBA history to record 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in a single season, and that alone is worthy of praise. His regular box score stats are pretty mind-blowing as well, especially when you consider that he's doing all of this as a center. He averaged 27.1 points, 13.8 rebounds, and 7.9 assists per game this season. This kind of production is not normal at all, nonetheless from a center. As a matter of fact, this stat line has never been done before in the history of the NBA. He's the only player to ever average that level of output over the course of an entire season. But none of that really does justice just how crazy his season was. The really crazy part is the fact that Jokic did all of this while not even ranking top 30 in minutes per game. He's only played 33.4 minutes a night this year, which is good for the 34th most minutes per game by any player in the NBA. If you extrapolate his numbers out to per 36 minutes, he's averaged 29.1 points, 14.8 rebounds, and 8.5 assists. That's an unprecedented level of production from a center. Now, I know I'm saying a lot of stats right now, and when it comes to Jokic, people seem to really take issue with that. I get frustrated when people make the claim that the only argument that Nikola Jokic has for winning the MVP is his advanced stats. That's, to me, an incredibly lazy take, and it typically comes from people that clearly haven't watched Nuggets games this year. Some people like to say that Jokic doesn't pass the eye test. If Jokic doesn't pass your eye test, it says that there's a problem with your eye test, not Nikola Jokic. Anybody should be able to see what he does in any given game and understand the impact he has on winning basketball. You don't need advanced stats to see that. I want to go into detail about his playmaking because that's one of the biggest areas where Nikola Jokic is able to bring value to his team on the offensive end. Look at these two dump-offs. We see this kind of stuff from guards on drives all the time, but to see a big man garnering so much pressure on the interior and still being able to find cutters while demanding so much defensive attention is really something that we don't see often. It requires a lot of floor vision and understanding of where your teammates are in order to connect on these passes and translate them into buckets. Another unique thing that Jokic is capable of doing is running the reverse pick and roll. The majority of the time, we see big men set the screens and roll to the basket, but Jokic is capable of initiating the pick and roll as the ball handler, which is something very few bigs in the history of the NBA have been able to do at a high level. His playmaking out of the high post has been great as well. Like on this play, they're going to run a flare screen for Barton in the corner, and Jokic is able to easily convert the simple action into 3 points for Barton. This play is just fun because he gets the defender to bite on the pump fake, and when Brooks and Bane collapse to try and defend the attack at the rim, Jokic is going to hit Barton with a no-look pass for a wide open look. But perhaps my favorite pass that Jokic often goes to is this whip-around pass out of post-ups to open shooters on the perimeter. Jokic creates shots for his teammates like this time and time again, and the fact that he's the most efficient post-up scorer in the entire NBA makes him a nightmare for defenses, because if you leave him unguarded by only one defender, he's just going to go ahead and score, but if you double him, he's going to be able to find the open man. This leads me into another point about Jokic's season that I've been seeing get brought up a lot. Some people have been trying to discount his abilities because he's not getting double and triple teamed like some other bigs in the NBA. There's a reason behind this though. Jokic is just too good of a playmaker that if you do decide to double or triple team him, he's almost always going to be able to find an open man. He's largely unaffected by double teams due to his height, so you just kind of have to pick your poison. The level of floor vision that he possesses as a big man is on par with that of some of the great point guards of the modern era. He's literally a point guard in the body of a center. The fact that he also possesses strong ball handling ability really drives home how lethal of a creator and offensive engine he really is. Now, I want to talk about his scoring because I think some people have begun to underrate Jokic's scoring ability, and I'm not really sure why. 27 points per game is no easy task, and it's even more impressive when you consider that he finished the season with a true shooting percentage of 66.1%. He's the only player in the NBA this season to record 25 points per game on 65% true shooting or higher. In fact, he's one of only 3 players in NBA history to record 27 points per game on 66% true shooting in a single season. I've never understood the take that Jokic isn't an elite scorer. He was the 6th highest scorer in the league, and he did it on ridiculous efficiency, the best of any top 10 scorer in the NBA this season. His precision in the post is difficult to put into words. He has a 6th sense for guiding the ball into the basket on soft floaters outside of the restricted area. His height and wingspan allows him to gain such a huge advantage on the interior that even when he's being guarded tightly, he's still fully capable of elevating enough that it negates nearly any impact that the defense can have on the shot. He's been the most efficient of any player, taking 5 or more shots in the paint outside of the restricted area this season at 60%. He's also shooting a ridiculous 77.6% at the rim. This makes him a really lethal post-up threat, and when you pair it with his incredible finishing ability at the rim and his insanely good post footwork, the result is a terrifying interior scoring threat. His game expands outside of the paint as well. His mid-range scoring, although it's on fairly limited attempts, has been highly efficient at 53.5% this season. Even though his three-point shooting hasn't transitioned from last year to this year, it hasn't negated his scoring ability by any means, and at 33.7%, he still needs to be honored by defenses because he will make them pay if he's left open. The value that he brings to the Nuggets really can't be overemphasized. The Nuggets are 16.4 points better per 100 possessions when he's on the court versus when he's off the court. We talk about floor raisers and ceiling raisers, but Nikola Jokic is truly both. Something that people need to understand is this: when Jokic is not on the floor, the Nuggets play equivalent to the level of a lottery team, both on offense and defense. But when Nikola Jokic is on the floor, the Nuggets play equivalent to the level of a top 10 team in the entire NBA. I'm not sure how else you can better exemplify the value that he brings to the table for them. There are only a handful of guys in the NBA right now that you can drop onto any lottery team in the NBA and they'll instantly make them a playoff team. And Nikola Jokic is very clearly one of those players. The level to which Jokic has elevated his team this season is on par with all-time greats. If you look at any number of holistic metrics that aim to calculate a player's contributions to a team, this season from Jokic is going to be incredibly high on that list, only solidifying the notion that this season is a historically great season. You don't need advanced metrics to see that. Raw numbers can tell the story, the eye test tells the story, whatever criteria you use to measure a player's impact and value will tell you that what Nikola Jokic has done this year is unlike anything we've ever seen from a center. It's really a shame that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. aren't coming back for the playoffs, because those two guys alongside Nikola Jokic would arguably be one of the best teams in the entire NBA, and the sky would truly be the limit for the Nuggets in the postseason. We saw what Jokic was capable of in the playoffs last year, and I expect that to only continue this year. He's currently putting together one of the most impressive peaks we've seen. He's already got a Hall of Fame resume, and assuming he continues to rack up accolades, he's gonna fly up the all-time great list if he can start to win championships in the near future. I haven't even mentioned the fact that he's doing all of this at the age of 27. He just entered the prime of his career. There's no telling what he's going to do as time progresses and the Nuggets continue to build around him. His all-time great playmaking ability and ability as an offensive engine are going to have him climbing the ranks of all-time great centers if he continues the trajectory that he started over the last couple of years. So what do you think of Nikola Jokic's season? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like. It's the best way to help me out and get this video recommended to more people. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.